Welcome back to another season of Command West, a Commanders podcast where we tackle the latest Washington football team news and answer the hard-hitting questions like, who are we? I'm your host, Bradley Roach.
Hey, I'm Tico Wells.
I'm Eddie Passarelli.
And I'm Donnie Roach. And I'll tell you who we are. I'll answer that question. We are Command West, starting season 2. Thank you very much. And we are for fans.
Oh,
so that's
man,
what we're about. We're here for the fans. We are not the deep analytical dive that you get from some other podcasts. If you want that, there's plenty of places to get that. We're here to give you the top line facts and analytics and our gut reactions as fans. That's what we do.
Just emotional reactions.
And we have fun doing it. So there you go. That's Command West. And we all happen to live on the West Coast, which is a little bit odd for Commanders fans. So there you go. Although one of us is in the DMV right now. Tico.
And two of us will be there at the end of the week.
We'll be there next week. We'll be there for game number 1. So there you go. We all have ties to the East Coast.
The DMV.
Obviously. Anyway.
All right.
That's right. Are y'all going to the game?
No.
It's in Tampa. We were so hoping it was going to be at a home game. And then they announced it. We planned the whole trip. Like, okay, we'll be there on Sunday, the opening week. And
3 of us will be in the DMV. Yeah. They're not even here. They heard we were coming.
You're right, exactly.
Why don't we get this show on the road and we'll talk about a little bit of the recap of since the last time we saw y'all, which was we did a recap of the offseason. So now, continuing the offseason because the season starts officially on next Thursday, which is the 9th. I thought our game was on the 9th.
Our game's
I don't know
on the
exactly
9th.
what day it is.
Thursday must be the 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the 5th. So technically it's still the offseason, but we had training camp. We had 3 preseason games. And there's a lot to talk about. Yeah. So, and the 53-man roster, we're recording it Tuesday, August 27th. That came out today.
Just happened.
So we will talk about that as well. And we'll give you the latest news on the Commanders roster, which is so much turnover. It's
exciting. There's a lot to be excited about this season. So
anybody have any off the bat thoughts about how training camp went this year?
Oh, I was going to jump into preseason, but training camp.
Well, let's get this
all
training stuff out of here.
I mean, I can segue, I think, from training into preseason. Look, the big story in the offseason in the draft was Jaden Daniels, right? So we're all waiting to see how Jaden Daniels done. And it sounds from all reports I've heard from the coaches, from the pressers, he has done everything they wanted from him. They've obviously named him QB1. He's going to be the starter in week 1. And he came out in those first two preseason games. He didn't start the last one, but he came out against the Jets, called an audible, threw a long pass downfield to Diami Brown, I think. Is that who he threw it to? On his, based on what he saw lined up in front of him, which I think, gives an indication that he's got vision, he's got smarts, and then he winds up running it in for a touchdown. And here's why I love this running in for the touchdown play. They cannot run that. As far as I'm concerned, they could not have to run that play again for a long time. Teams have seen it. They know that Jaden Daniels is a threat to run, and he's a threat to run when you're in the red zone. And I think just knowing that keeps everyone on their heels a little bit, So I love having a quarterback that's got that little bit of a threat to run, and he's got accuracy as well. So our star player, I think, has shown up in training camp and preseason. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely.
Did you guys happen to see any statistics that obviously only played a couple of sets or whatever before he's out of the game. Was there anything that people were going, well, we got to be careful of that, other than the obvious, like he's a little slight in his weight, he might hurt himself if he continues to run? Is there anybody?
Yeah. On the quarterback school, have you guys seen that? The school for quarterbacks? The guy was talking about how Daniels doesn't need. I mean, he's got a slight build. Mm-hmm. This isn't the NCAA. You know what I mean? So he was just talking about, especially in preseason, don't do anything that's going to put yourself in harm's way. And there was it looked like a RPO where he kind of nobody was there, and he just takes off for the middle and gets whacked upside the head. And so those kind of things, these guys these are grown ass folks, so you don't need to be.
You remember?
We don't want to bring up the obvious horror of RG3.
I was just gonna say,
But
every time
yeah,
RG3 would
man.
run,
He's
you'd
similar.
cringe, you'd hold your breath.
Yeah, he's kind of similar in the fact that he had that speed, and then he got hit that one time and he lost the speed. And then all of a sudden, it's like that option read was not the best idea.
No, he was never the same again.
He was flopping around like a rag doll.
Who scored that? Who scored that touchdown? That diving touchdown?
That was Michael
against
Wiley.
the Patriots.
Wiley, yeah.
He got cut.
He's
today.
gone. He got cut. Yeah. They cut a lot of people. They cut
a lot of people
So-
that played in that Patriots game.
Yeah.
Got cut.
So Eddie, to kind of answer your question, besides the running, which Tico, touched on, and it's not a small issue, right? Like he didn't slide at all in the preseason, and that's something that we, is a huge concern, I think, especially with, like you said, with our history as Commanders fans. But you know what? The rest of his stats look pretty good. He was 12 of 15 for 123 yards in the preseason. With a touchdown, with a rushing touchdown. Now, 12 of 15, that's really, really good.
That's
a lot
really
of those
good.
were a lot of those were screen passes.
Short.
A lot of those were quick ones.
Yeah.
So, that kind of, when you hear 83% or whatever that is, it's like, oh, that's insane. But when you really think about it, it's preseason against the second team defense. However, Eddie, I think one of the things that the QB school, to reference the same video, there was a play that happened where he kind of launched it out of bounds.
Right,
It was one of his like incompletions.
He was being pressured.
He was being pressured, and usually when you get pressured, that's called the hot. So that you identify who's coming, and that is the hot guy, right?
Yeah.
Pause. But two guys are coming, and what you're supposed to do is throw to the hot side, right?
Right.
So you kind of throw over that guy. Well, he launched it to the other side, which is called a dirty ball, and they're taught to do that, especially in field goal range. When you feel pressure, don't take a sack, don't throw it into harm's way. Throw a dirty ball, get it out of there, right?
And that was over to the left side, right?
That was over to the left
over
side.
the left flat, yeah.
However, on the right side, you have Austin Eckler with wide open space because the two guys that were covering him are rushing. So that kind of stuff comes with time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that comes with experience. And, last year, Sam Howell threw a lot of those passes where he's getting pressured. He threw it into a bad situation, or he took a sack when we're in field goal range. So what I'm happy to see is Jaden Daniels making the smart play, not taking a hit in the preseason, not taking a sack, and getting it out of there. Now the next level. Progression, the next level is use that blitz against them. You know what I mean? So,
Right. That's the Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes choice.
Yeah.
But so he's made a good choice, but not the best overall. So that's
So-
a good way of
so
explaining it.
I think we're seeing some youngness from him, and that's going to be this season, and that might be next.
For sure.
Not everybody is CJ Stroud, and and even him, he struggled for the better part of the season as well.
And let's face it, not many people were screaming prior to last season for Sam Howell, except Commander fans who had seen him play one game.
I think we were all like hoping that he would be
he's the
miracle.
new,
Better than the guy before.
And he started off the season with some almost wins, which like
he had a lot of almost wins. And,
we started the season 2-0.
No, he did he won the first 2 games, and then he had some almost wins. Like
And then we
those look like
occasional
almost
perkiness
wins.
where we
Those
were all
wins look
excited.
like almost wins.
it's true. They were almost losses. Those 2 wins
Almost
were almost
losses.
losses. Yeah.
So
Could have went
kind of
either way.
real quick to wrap up the training camp,
Yeah.
and I think there might be a couple other things we should talk about for the preseason, because all we talk about is Jaden Daniels so far. But to
Yes,
wrap
I
up
know.
But I mean, hey,
hey, he's
Right.
our starting quarterback. So I do love the energy that came out of training camp.
Yes.
There's a bunch of videos that are circling that every day they started practice with a full team exercise, coaching staff included, where they're jumping around, they're doing, I don't even know what they're doing, like an obstacle course or something. The coaches are involved, everybody's loud, everybody's energized. And there was
I think
just
it was
a lot of,
American Ninja, wasn't it?
yeah,
It
that's
was
what they're
basically
doing.
the same thing.
Yeah.
There was a lot of energy.
there was a lot of energy. Every
Yeah,
time you saw a podcast or video of them, there was a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
Dan Quinn has got a little swagger to him.
I'm loving Dan Quinn so far.
He's got some energy with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ron went through the cancer thing. He
Mhm.
was
Yeah,
a
it was
little
always
tight.
like we felt sorry for him almost.
Yeah, he
We-
was a good
I mean,
guy.
no-
You're right,
nothing
he was
against
a good
him,
guy, but
good
the
guy,
other
but
thing,
he lost the riverboat side of him.
he lost the riverboat.
No, the
thing.
riverboat sailed when he had
Sank.
well, he had no sail because it was a riverboat.
Yeah,
But
right.
it went when he
Insane.
lost Cam
Riverboat
Newton.
sank.
Cam Newton was the only reason he went to the Super Bowl.
Riverboat got hit by a cannonball.
Yeah,
Listen,
and
Cam Newton
it
was in
never.
his prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cam was
Yeah.
perfect, and he was there at the right time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
He
could've taken
benefited from Cam, man.
He did.
Because Cam didn't have a lot of
And Luke
superstars on that
Kuechly,
team.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
Sorry.
And was underrated in a lot of
Yeah.
ways, even though he won the MVP.
And I
But,
know he faltered as he got older. He kind of like got switched around with teams and just wasn't
his
right
career was
fit.
messed
Okay, but
up.
let's not focus on the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
past. Dan
So,
Quinn, we like
yeah.
the new guys in
Yeah,
charge,
that's right.
right?
That's
So some
right.
other-
Diane,
And
good
Cliff
point.
Kingsbury, and
Hey, man, this is a new team, man. Like
it's
so many of
new,
these
almost
names,
top to bottom.
almost top
and
to
we'll
bottom.
go over the 53-man roster.
Yeah.
At some point.
Should we do that right? I mean, does
Nah.
anybody? Okay, the last
I think we can
again.
jump into that.
There's
Not the
just
whole thing.
one more thing I want to talk about for the training camp is the joint practices, and this is the second year in a row that they've done that, and I just think it's so helpful to
Yeah.
see another
What do you mean, they all
team.
smoke joints?
Yeah. They get high.
I love that.
That's part of that
practice.
obstacle course.
Yeah, and that's why, yeah, exactly. They do American Ninja
Yeah.
Warrior, and they smoke. No, they worked with the Jets
Smoke
and
while
the
you do it.
Miami, and they
Dolphins, yeah.
got to go
And then
against
the-
another team.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to note some concerns that I have, especially with the offensive line and with the cornerbacks. And we see that in the preseason as well, where Emmanuel Forbes and Benjamin St. Juste both got beat for touchdowns in the preseason, and got smoked in the joint practices as well.
I was almost a little surprised to see Emmanuel Forbes make the cut. I mean, I don't. You give me that look. Is it
He's a
because
first round pick
Well,
Last
it's
year.
first round pick? That's not what you base the cut on.
last
Is
year.
is it because they didn't have any depth behind him? I mean, is that like
Well,
there's no better choice than
if
him?
you had 5 better corners than him, then yeah, but that's
Wasn't it?
really hard to do.
How
Wasn't
many
it?
corners made the cut? There were 5 corners that made the cut, right? Yeah, okay. So of those,
But he's starting. It's not like we had 4 guys better than him, and he's the
Yeah.
last guy.
yeah, it
starting
concerns
for
me.
us.
It concerns me.
But didn't we say last year, or they made note of, like, we know his skill set is that he's a stealer. He's the guy who's
Yes.
going to take the
Yes.
intercept. So
That's what we were
you run the
hoping.
risk
That's what we were
every
hoping.
time when you take a chance to go for a pick and you don't get it, you get beat. Was he beat like that in the preseason? I don't know.
Look,
Well, I know.
he was beat.
Go ahead.
Here-
Go ahead.
here's what I'll say
beat.
about Emmanuel Forbes. I will never sit here and call a guy a bust a year later. That's insane, especially with a
Different
coaching staff that we had who were not teachers and who had no plan. I mean, I can rant about this for an hour, and I'm not going to. But Ron
Thank you.
Rivera had
Thank you.
zero plan when he drafted players,
know.
and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But Emmanuel Forbes' skill set, like Eddie just said, is to sit on routes and jump the football. And they put him on an island and said, go win your man-to-man matchup. And that's just not who he is. In the preseason, that's what this coaching staff did, but they noted, we just want to see what these guys can do. what they're really good at, and I'm talking about Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr., our defensive coordinator, they're really good at scheming the strengths of players. You see that with a guy like Deron Bland for the Cowboys, who was like a 6th round pick or a 5th round pick, who in all regards is not like this world beating corner, but they scheme him to what he's good at and he takes the football away.
Yeah,
You know
and
what I
that's
mean?
what we didn't get to see
Yeah.
with Forbes last year because he was under a different regime with a
Yep.
different mindset of, like you said, just be the best corner you can be instead of being the specialist.
Yeah.
And he's a specialist.
And I hope you're right. It's just I didn't see it in the preseason either. Maybe you're right. Maybe they're the preseason's all about seeing what you got.
Look, I'm not trying to be right about Emmanuel Forbes is going to be great. I'm just saying, let's not dismiss this kid who has played one season on a bad football team.
Yeah.
Like, let's give him a chance.
Right. That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like we Chase Young, for example, had an amazing football rookie season, had a lackluster sophomore year, and never got back to true form.
Right.
But we at least gave him those two to three other years to be like, yo, can you get back? And then he didn't.
Except when he got traded to playoff winning team in San Francisco.
Yeah, but how did
he do anything?
He didn't do great for them. He wasn't doing gangbusters.
He did great.
No,
I mean, but he did great. He
had one sack.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, he was in the mix, man. I mean,
they didn't value
he was
enough
reborn over there.
Huh? They traded him to the Saints. They didn't even trade him. They let him walk to the Saints.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I don't want to keep rambling.
Yeah. Let's not get off on the past
Yeah.
because we're trying to move forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving forward.
We mentioned this before. Bobby Wagner. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a new element that came.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's some leadership. We haven't had that since a London
time.
Fletcher. You know what I'm saying on the
Absolutely.
defensive side, and I believe he was with Dan Quinn. Wasn't Dan Quinn the defensive coordinator during the Super Bowl years?
Yeah,
for Seattle.
For Seattle, yeah.
So
Wagner's a linebacker, right? So
yeah, he's the middle linebacker.
I
we'll
always
see how
thought
much he's
middle
got in the tank.
linebackers were the best people to be, that key guy.
Put your best player in there.
They're seeing the center of the field. They know everything that's going on.
And
they
we
usually
haven't had
call
that,
the defense.
Yeah, we haven't had that real leader from afar. You never know what it's like actually in the huddle. You never know what these personalities are like down on the field. But as far as somebody who's been there, done it, Super Bowl winning, a leader. He had a year he had a year with the Rams.
Yep.
Remember? Didn't he go to the Super Bowl with the Rams? When they won? When they won the Super Bowl?
Von Miller? No.
I know Von Miller was there.
Was Bobby Wagner too?
I don't know. Maybe he came the year after that. I'm not sure, but he was with the Rams.
Okay.
And and we got Dante Fowler.
That's a big
Dante
pickup.
Fowler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we got two.
We got a lot of new faces. And speaking of the preseason with the new faces, I don't believe that neither of those two guys played, but are big names of pickups that we got this offseason. But two guys that did play and looked good in the limited snaps that they did is Frankie Louvu, who is going to be Bobby Wagner's right-hand man. He's
linebacker one right now.
Yes, he's going to be kind of like the Bobby's going to be the middle, kind of the Mike, they call him. I love it. I think of Mike because I think it represents something, but I like it too because it's like microphone.
The
like
guy with the microphone.
He's the one who's got the mic. Yeah.
So Mike, and then Frankie Louvu is kind of the, I think, outside linebacker.
Okay.
Or more of the gadget man. And then, sorry, do you have a point on Louvu?
No.
Okay.
The other guy I want to highlight was Mikey Sanderstill, who's a rookie, and he also looked very good in the preseason in his limited capacity.
And he's a corner, or
he is, but he's
going to be the nickel back
corner. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Kind of inside there.
SLCB they call him.
Yeah. So I think those the four guys that Tico just named, or that we just named, those are four new guys that are going to make a really big impact on this defense going forward.
Do we
Very
know
good.
much about the cornerback named Davis? Is that from is he the guy we had last year?
No,
You
he's
talking about
from
Jamin Davis,
Yeah, this
linebacker?
no
like
Michael
a
Davis.
Oh,
cornerback.
Michael Davis. No, I'm not sure
Is-
what's going on with him.
Is he a rook?
He came from the Chargers.
Okay.
He started his career pretty solid. Him and Jeremy Chin, I kind of put in a similar situation. They started their careers really strong, and then new defensive coordinators kind of limited their production in a lot of ways, and both of them really slowed down. Jeremy Chin was runner up for defensive rookie of the year when Chase Young won it, funnily enough. And then Michael Davis, the Chargers defense was really bad. So they came here kind of looking for a fresh start in a Joe Witt Jr. defense who, really works with those DBs. So I'm looking forward to their production this year as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
But again, they didn't really play much in the preseason. Actually, Jeremy Chin didn't. No, he played in the first game, and Michael Davis played slightly. But on the offensive side, is there anybody else that stood out in the preseason?
I heard that there was this left guard. What's his name? Allegria something. I can't even.
Allegretti, Nick Allegretti.
Yeah, I heard he was pretty favorable. Does anybody know anything about him?
He was
not really.
He was the backup left guard for the Chiefs. He came here. He's been okay. We haven't really seen
this
O-line. We haven't really,
but yeah.
we haven't really
So right
seen
now,
the
do we
O-line.
feel our O-line is like a weak link?
Yeah, you want to
Yes,
talk about
potentially.
that, Bradley?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah. I
stuck
guess
for
let's
our
get into
quarterback,
the 53 because
Yeah.
the last guy I wanted to highlight for the preseason was Diami Brown because he
Yeah,
seemed
good
to have
point.
played himself into the second receiver spot, which
Yeah.
we thought was going to go to Jahan Dotson,
Who got
who we'll
traded?
Got
speak
traded
about
to the
in
Eagles.
1 second.
Right.
But Diami Brown was kind of played himself into that second receiver role because Jaden Daniels and him seem to have this connection.
They do.
Now, I was talking to my dad about this earlier. Let's temper our expectations because Diami Brown has not had a season over 200 yards. Okay.
They don't play him, but he's had some
They have
amazing
not played
bombs
him.
he's caught.
I think you're going to see a lot more out of Diami Brown
gonna
this
see a
year
lot more
with
out of him.
Jaden.
Absolutely.
He's
Remember,
he's
he
going to
caught a
become
couple
dynamic Brown.
bombs with our boy Heineke a couple times.
Yep.
But Zacchaeus got let go. He got booted today,
No,
I think.
No. He's
our
there.
third. He's our third.
He's
guy.
there.
He's
Yeah.
number
Who
3.
was that? Who was that? Zacharias. Was there a Zacharias on there? I thought that was Zacchaeus that got released today. They let a bunch of people go today.
They did, but
Well, you got
Mohamed
McCaffrey,
Zacchaeus
Pringle, and Crowder as the second tier.
Crowder's still there. That's a little surprising.
How did he get back? When did that happen?
Well, he was back all last
He was
year.
back last year. Yep.
But
Really? Why did I think he was the one that got traded? I don't know. I thought he was
No.
Okay,
no.
before we're gonna
Samuel.
do the 53 man roster.
Let's do the
Hold your
53.
horses. Let's talk about Jahan because
Jahan
I want to
getting
hear what
traded
your
away.
guys' thoughts about
Well,
Jahan
man,
is.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that
See,
that they let him go at all. But
this is
you
the
know, I'm
emotional
not down on the
response.
field.
This is what I talked about at the beginning of the show. Here's your emotional fan response.
Right.
We love Jahan. I've always felt like he was a good pickup. He was a go-to. Terry was always number 1, but Jahan was a good number 2. We liked him. We rooted for him. It was a gut punch. And then to go to the Eagles is like a double gut punch because you're going to face them twice a year. There's always that little vendetta when you face the team that let you go. And he even said it in his presser. He's like, I had no hard feelings against Washington until we play Washington.
Didn't he have a couple of? And I know every receiver is going to have that one catch that he should have caught. There was probably numerous times when we were like, he should have caught that, and he didn't. So I don't look at him as a loss per se because I don't think he was ever. Again, first he was never in the right situation because of our quarterback situation.
No, well, Eddie, he was one of the leading touchdown. He had more touchdowns almost than
McLaurin.
I think. I think. Anybody got the stats up?
Yeah, I got him up.
In the last couple years,
he had 7 his first year and 4 his second.
Yeah, so he
All
had
right,
11.
so I stand corrected, but I mean, I guess my thing is that I never thought of him as like this super speed threat, but he had good hands. I really liked the hands. He was able to catch stuff, and maybe I'm sure he would catch much better under Jaden's throws, but maybe not.
I remember feeling frustrated because he did have a decent amount of drops last year.
They were at poignant moments too. They were like,
here's
ouch.
here's where I'm at with Jahan. And I'm not happy that he went to the Eagles. I'm also,
Crush him.
Jahan, again, like Emmanuel Forbes, was only 3 years into his, he's going into his third season.
This is his third. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
So I really can't call a guy a bust, but
Oh no.
he didn't have a season over 500 over 600 yards. He did have that 7 touchdown season, which is a good number for a second wide receiver. But 500 yards? Let me name some other first round wide receivers for you, and you tell me how you feel about Jahan Dotson. A guy named Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase.
You froze.
How about Garrett Wilson or
Are we all
Chris
frozen?
Olave?
No, Tico, you're sorry.
I think
Tico's
you're
frozen. We can hear you, but you're
there you go.
Now you're back. You're back. Go ahead.
My
Wait, Justin
point that I'm
Jefferson,
making, Jamar Chase,
Chase,
Chris Olave, and Garrett Wilson, who were both picked in the same draft as Jahan. I'm just naming these names, and I'm not going to say that Jahan is supposed to be Justin Jefferson or is ever going to be Justin Jefferson. I'm just putting into perspective that this guy wasn't we weren't getting first round production out of Jahan Dotson. And
but also he wasn't the number one.
Agreed.
And we've had bad quarterback play, bad offensive play as far as we can remember.
What about Chris Olave? Who's his quarterback? Derek Carr? Garrett Wilson had Aaron Rodgers backup last season.
But they still got to throw it to him. You know what I mean? They got to throw it to him and get the ball there, and they got to be on the same page. So what I saw from Jahan can play football. Jahan is a ball player, and I screwed up. I was saying, how you pronounce that guy's name?
Alamade. I think Alamade.
Yeah, I got him mixed up with Martavis Bryant, who got let go.
Oh, Martavis got let go. Yeah.
You know, Martavis, Tremaine, Jacarius, Bamarius.
I think there'll be another better receiver that will pick up at a lower price.
I think
that's a good point, Eddie. I'm wondering if they're still hoping to pick somebody up off waivers, or I don't know.
Well, McCaffrey had some good catches. McCaffrey, they got him down as one of the trio.
McCaffrey's one I'm looking to have some breakthrough games. I don't know. I don't know if he's shown it yet, but I wonder if he's a little bit of an ace in the hole.
Statistically, he's supposed to be faster than his brother. That's what I heard. 4.25 or 3 in the 40, and he may not have the moves, but he's got the speed over his brother, and I'm sure that doesn't sit well with his brother.
Well, the couple of plays that I saw, he and Daniels look good together.
I like the idea because he looks like the scary threat of what is he going to do? What route is he running? What screen is he coming off tackle? Where? You know what I mean? He's that guy who comes out of the mix and you just go, why does he have the ball and why am I chasing him right now?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a little bit of a project. I think he's pretty he's one of those transition guys. He wasn't always a receiver from college, so he's kind of in his first couple seasons of playing receiver. So I think he's a little unpolished. But he's a McCaffrey. So big athletic family, fast, quick, big hands, good catch radius, tough as nails. I mean, getting his helmet
somebody who's going to run
stuff.
over people, and I like the way he runs. Yeah. So it's another, bulldog kind of in the mix.
So why don't anybody have any last thoughts on Jahan? And then we'll
no, he's gone. He's gone. We got to keep moving.
He's gone.
He's already gone.
And we got what the trade was a 3rd round pick and 2 7th for Jahan and a 5th. So that was the trade. to the Philadelphia Eagles.
So we got something for him. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes
And we got
the
another
wait.
tight end. We got a new tight end,
Sinnott.
Zach Ertz.
Oh, Zach Ertz, the veteran. Yeah. But we also got Ben Sinnott
Yeah.
in the draft. So
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
I like
kinda
them
looking
both.
forward to see what those guys can do. Yeah.
So yeah, our tight end room, Zach Ertz,
Not bad. Not bad. I
Ben
think it
Sinnott.
got better. I think it got better.
Yeah.
Who-
We got John Bates, who's one of the best
Yep.
blocking tight ends in the league.
Yeah.
And a surprise, undrafted free agent, Colson Yankoff made the team
He made the team
as the fourth tight end.
for now.
Now we'll see, because this is like Dad said, it's an initial 53-man roster. Which, why is that important?
Well, because we got waivers tomorrow, right? So there's players that we can pick up, and I think we have, like, we're second with the waivers. I'm not quite sure what that means. Like, we get the second options. So if there's players we want to pick up, then we're gonna have to let somebody go to keep that 53 at 53. So Yankoff, is that how you say it?
Yep.
It feels like one of the bubble players.
There's
like,
a couple
few players
guys,
that are
yeah.
Maybe
for our
on special teams or something like that.
And that's why they like him. He's
that's
good
important to
on
Dan
special
Quinn. I
teams.
know that. Yeah.
What about our wide receiving core? I know we want to talk about that. We've talked about a couple already.
Yeah.
McCaffrey, Diami, Alameda Zaccheaus, obviously Terry. The other two guys is Byron Pringle and Jamison Crowder.
Good backups.
I've always liked Crowder. I'm glad he's still with us.
Yeah.
Pringle had moments of brilliance during the course of the season. And I think they're like that perfect guy to come in when everybody's tired and they've been running sprints and they can't get open. All of a sudden, it's a different guy with a different way to move. And he's going to run a route that is going to get open. I like that.
Right now we got six wide receivers. We got 3 running backs, 4 tight ends. We should be good to go.
It doesn't seem like a lot of depth in the star power at wide receiver.
No,
I mean, you got Terry, that's your star power. Beyond that, there's a lot of hoping that these guys
a
are
lot
of
hoping and praying. A lot of hoping and
praying. How about we just view it from another perspective? Think of it as like the way Tom Brady, great passer, like Daniels, throwing to mediocre
made stars
receivers
out of
and
mediocre
made stars
receivers.
out of
Yeah, he
I
did.
think that's possible in our pessimistic viewpoints that I normally have. I'm going to have to get a little positive.
Turning it around, Eddie.
Eddie Pessimistelli says, I think this can work.
Right.
Okay.
I love it.
I think one of the surprises was that we kept 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I agree.
And that might be a bubble as well. They might be
one guy may go to the practice team.
Practice squad, yeah.
Sure.
Exactly.
Or
Driscoll,
not be pulled
Driscoll
up
is the
game.
third, yeah.
There's also a rule about that if you keep 3 quarterbacks, one doesn't have to apply to your 53, but that is for game day only.
Really? Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, so
that was a new rule last year. Yeah.
Okay.
So they might be taking advantage of
these
that.
weird rules, man.
Yeah.
Is that a game day decision, you mean?
No, so it doesn't count right now, but when games start, you can have a third quarterback on your 53 without it counting. Yeah.
But he's got to be dressed in a suit, and he can't.
No, he can be dressed. So our O-line, I don't want to spend a ton of time here. Well, I'll just read off the names. Michael Dieter, Tyler Biotis, our starting center. Nick Allegretti, we talked about him. Andrew Wiley was one of our holdovers from last year. He's going to be starting right tackle. Trent Scott is backup. Brandon Coleman is our starting left tackle. He's a rookie. Chris Paul, Sam Cosme, our starting left guard, and Cornelius Lucas, who will be our swing tackle. I'm worried about this, guys. I'm worried about this unit, guys.
Yeah. It's
ESPN is outdated if that's the latest.
Yeah.
Are you on the Commanders?
Yeah.
I have the O-line.
This is the official.
I have the O-line as Coleman, Cosme, Wiley, Biadasi, and Allegria left guard.
Allegretti.
Allegretti.
Yeah.
I think that's what he said.
Yeah,
those are all names you said.
Yeah,
Right?
and Allegretti. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why are you guys scared of? Why you guys don't like it? I mean, think about it. The coaches put together this lineup based on what they had. Is it mediocre choices and we couldn't get anybody better?
We have 2 backups and a rookie starting for us. that scares me a little.
Yeah, but
And-
they're
and-
starting for a reason, right? I mean,
Well,
there's nobody
They're
better.
starting on this team.
To me, it's the one place like we made a lot of moves in the offseason and we did great in the draft and we did great in pickups. And yet I expected more focus on the O-line. Like it was a weak spot for us last year. And there was no like, oh, but he's pulling in so and so. Even what's the center's name? Beatis. And he comes from the Chiefs? No.
Dallas.
Oh, he comes from Dallas. Okay, that's Allegretti that comes from the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But they're
We
good
have
players.
to wait for Sam Howell's brain scans to come back to realize how he was getting crushed.
I mean, you have to wonder, like, are they counting on, well, we have a quarterback that can move, and that's like it's going to counterbalance the fact that our O-line's not strong? I don't know.
Well, the smart thing is that Jaden Daniels makes decisions really quickly.
Yeah.
Yes, he has been showing that.
He's
Yes.
mobile enough to get himself out of trouble, unlike someone like Tom Brady. But he doesn't. I don't know if he has that experience in the NFL yet to be able to avoid getting sacked and hurt. I'm just worried. That's my worry with an O-line, not a priority.
Yeah.
Here's where I have a little bit more confidence, Eddie, than last year. Is Eric Bieniemy put Sam Howell in a lot of terrible positions. We dropped back with the worst O-line in football, or one of the worst O-lines in football. We dropped back more than any other team in the league. I am confident. Yeah, I am confident. My confidence lies in Cliff Kingsbury, not the O-line. And I think this O-line is good enough is good enough for Cliff Kingsbury to work around that
Potential
weakness. Yeah.
Because I don't think they would put together a lineup unless they were satisfied with what protection they were going to get for the quarterback. I'm just afraid that everything is set in motion with rookie season quarterback, rookie O-line. Like, what the hell? Like, help us.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's the thing. There's strong pieces all over this team, but they're all just learning to play with each other. And this is not a team that's got experience working together. What, Tico?
I'm looking. I'm on the Commander site, and on this site they've got De'Ami Brown starting, as opposed to Luke McCaffrey.
Yeah,
no, he's a starter.
Because Bradley was saying when you said he worked himself into the number 2 spot, you're talking about of the starters.
Terry,
right?
De'Ami, and Zacchaeus.
Zacchaeus and Brown, McLaurin, Zacchaeus.
Olamide, is Olamide Zacchaeus?
Yeah, that's a name that we're gonna have to
you learn how to say
because I think he's gonna produce some. I mean, I think I see him in a like a slot role. He's more of a slot receiver.
Okay.
So Curtis Samuel, or even Jahan, I guess. But I think he'll produce some for us.
And also
he had a good preseason.
Yeah.
He got the rest of this week to make some final decisions.
Yes.
They put these listings out.
Yeah.
Donnie, are you frozen?
No, Tico, you're frozen again. What did you do last time? There you go. You fixed it.
Oh, there you go. You were frozen too.
We're all frozen.
Frozen.
It's cold in here. It's cold in here. Okay, look, we've got Eddie.
Hey, let me explain. Let's get to this kickoff thing. Let's get to this kickoff thing. This is going to be interesting.
Should we not talk about the defense at all?
Man, good luck.
Next week we'll follow up.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
That was so.
Why don't we do that?
Why not? Focus on defense.
I thought we talked about it. We didn't
mention
Deron Payne or Jonathan Allen because
those are some strong holdovers right there.
I do want to say that one of the interesting D lineman additions is Jamin Davis, who is a familiar name playing a new position.
Oh, right.
He was our first round pick a couple years ago, and now he is playing defensive line. He made the switch, and I think that's basically all I had for you.
I mean, we'll be curious to see what happens because there's Dan Quinn, defensive-minded head coach, and Joe Witt, new defensive coordinator. Let's see. They're making moves and they're switching things up. And hopefully they've seen what led to that decision. You got to think they've seen something there. So
And B, where are you getting that Jamin is going to be playing on the line? Because on the site, on the Commander's site, they got him backing up Dante Fowler.
So I have he's been playing defensive end the whole training camp and preseason, and I have on my Ben Standig, who is a beat reporter for the Commanders.
Can't see that.
Commanders have an initial 53. This is the 24 Washington Commanders roster positional as of August 27th, 2024. And it's the full list.
There you go. Well, that, but we can't read it.
So
Okay.
I guess all these lists
legit.
are. So this list is different from the ESPN list.
Yeah. Dante Fowler is also listed as a linebacker. He's a defensive end too. He's not
right. And in today's football, you know, some of these linemen put their hand down in the dirt. And you don't know if they're a linebacker, depending on the scheme they're running. It's changed a lot, you know.
That's a great point, Tico, because that's what this defense is going to do. Dan Quinn, you think Micah Parsons is he a linebacker? Is he a defensive end?
Right. What the heck is he?
Yeah.
That's good.
What the heck is he? It's a hybrid.
That's the kind of energy we want brought to our game.
That's what Jamin Davis is. I'm not going to call Jamin Davis Micah Parsons, but he's doing a similar role.
Please don't.
He's going to be playing linebacker and defensive end. So that's a good point.
There you go.
Okay.
And
we
I
talked
think
about strengths. We talked about
with Dante Fowler. I thought Dante Fowler was hand in the dirt too. I could be mistaken, but he's from Dallas. Right. He came from Dallas.
You're 100% right. Yeah.
We've talked strengths. We've talked weaknesses. I want to get into Tampa Bay, but I know there's a new rule that everyone's like scratching their head about. Are you going to break it down for us, Tico?
I'm going to try to break it down the best I can. We got a new kicker too, so he better have it.
Oh yeah, we sure did. He played that last preseason game.
What's his name? Robbie
York?
Sly?
Something.
Not Robbie Sly.
No, not York. Cade York?
Yeah, we got Cade York is our new kicker.
Yeah.
He's taken Sly.
He took Sly's
first name. Took Sly in the Family Stone.
Sly in the Family Stone. Yeah, that's all you need to know.
So this is going to be really wild, right? So the kicker line on the kicking team, obviously, lines up from the 35, but the rest of his 10 players,
that's so weird,
are on the other team's 40.
He's like on an island. He's back there all by himself.
He's back there all by himself. Now, on the receiving team, they have a minimum of 9 players that line up between the 30 and the 35.
Okay.
So they could have some combination.
Almost 5 years, 5 yards away.
That 5 yard space, but they got to have at least 9 of them.
Okay.
Minimum 9, so they can have two
guys back.
Deep men. Yeah.
Sure, this isn't rugby.
Yeah, it might be
getting close. Yeah,
but so the play begins when the ball is caught or lands in this area they call it the landing zone, which is from the end zone to the 20.
What if you dribble it on the ground?
So if the ball is caught or lands in the landing zone or returns
the landing strip,
or you can return it from the end zone. So you can return it from the end zone like normal. If it lands in the landing zone, you can return it. And also the landing zone if it lands in the landing zone, you must return it because it's in the field of play.
Okay.
If it lands in the end zone, it must be returned or a touchback, and that goes out to the 20. So I'm imagining the ball gets kicked and
into the end zone.
It doesn't make it all the way to the end zone, but it rolls into the end zone.
Okay.
Right.
You can return it or down it.
Okay.
And then they bring it out to the 20.
Okay.
Now, if the kicker fails to kick the ball down to the 20, the receiving team gets the ball at the 40.
Oh,
if he's short of the landing zone.
If he's short of the landing zone,
okay,
they bring it out to the 40.
Ooh,
if the receiving team catches the ball in the end zone in the air, they can return it or get a touchback to
By-
the 30.
by downing it.
Right.
Just putting the knee
Yes.
down. Okay.
So
So
this-
instead of coming
this
to the
is-
25,
Jesus,
it's
that's
like on the
crazy.
30.
So
What-
it can be brought out to the 20, to the 30, or to the 40. And
Wait,
if
how
the
does it come
ball
out to the
goes-
40?
If it's short.
It comes
Oh,
out
if
to
it's
the
short,
40
if it's short.
if it's short.
What
Yeah,
what
but
happens if
somebody
it goes
can
out of
receive
bounds?
it, right?
If it goes out of bounds, then it goes to the 40.
To the 40 as well.
So
Yeah,
wait a second. Like, if he kicks it and it's a short one,
right.
nobody touches it, then it goes
Nobody
to the
touches
40.
it.
But if
Then it
somebody
goes to the
grabs
40.
it, they can run with it, right? Because it's in the field, right?
Mm-mm.
Don't know. They didn't say that part.
Or do you have to wait to get over the
And-
40?
Yeah, maybe it has to be in the landing zone for it to be returned.
Oh. And
we're
how do
gonna
they
have a
do
lot of
and how do they
fuck-ups.
do an onside kick?
That's only going to be allowed in the fourth quarter.
But it's the exact
And-
same.
They're
Uh,
lined up the same way?
They're lined up the same way, so it's going to be pretty difficult. It's
And
going to
this
be
is
pretty
all
that's
for
difficult.
weird, 'cause
safety
if-
And
reasons?
on a penalty, the setup stays the same except where the ball is kicked from
Right,
is pushed back.
right. Okay.
So that's a lot to digest. But
Yeah, it
if
is.
y'all rewind it, when whoever's watching this, you rewind it, you
Give us
can study.
give us your comments below on the new
Guaranteed we're
kickoff
gonna have
rule.
penalties all over the league with guys not know what the fuck they're doing.
Right.
Yeah,
Here's
that's
here's I
gonna be
think
interesting.
the two biggest like reasons why they
Takeaways?
did this is
Oh,
first, nobody's moving until somebody catches it, so that
Right.
limits injuries. They limit the giant
speed
running
that-
start,
yeah.
running
collision.
start, yeah.
Right.
Number two is a lot of teams would just kick the ball out of the end zone. And that's not what's going to be happening anymore. There's going to be a lot more returns. And because people are so close, there's going to be a lot more long returns. Like they they got this rule from the XFL, and there were tons of kick returns in the XFL.
That's what we want to see is more scoring and more fun. and
Right,
turnovers.
right. That's part of the reason they did it. Yeah, more
Which
And the
is
kick
kind
return,
of
kickoffs got
has
boring.
pretty much gone out. Was gone out of the game.
Yeah.
And the injuries just of people
crazy.
running all that way down and crashing into each other, that was going up according to the committee.
Yeah.
So now that they're lined up closer to each other, the 40 and the 35, there's not so much room to get such a head
Yeah.
start.
And you only have like a
Well,
20-yard, 10-yard
and-
burst. to get
And
yourself-
I didn't know it came from the XFL. That's actually I mean
didn't know
that's
it's
good. That's what the XFL
Bradley,
is for.
that's-
It's
that's
like
why
to
you get the
experiment with
big
stuff,
money,
you know.
that's why I get paid the most.
But
That's why
you
you
know,
get them
we
big
should they
bucks.
should be experimenting with stuff in the
Yeah.
XFL. Like that's the place to try stuff out and go, oh,
Yeah.
hey, this actually
Yeah.
works. You know,
Or
let's
Yeah.
adopt
Doesn't
this in the
work.
NFL. You know,
This is why this is why, and we didn't touch on it when we talked about receivers, but somebody like a Byron Pringle and a Jamison Crowder are valuable question mark
yeah, right.
because
It says uncertainly.
because this is going to be, you can really get some dynamic people back there making some moves, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, I mean maybe we'll see, I don't know, but Byron Pringle and Crowder will be, at least one of them will be punt returning, and at least one of them will be kickoff returning. I know that for a
Mhm.
fact.
Yeah.
And I'm not
they also
super
probably
confident in that.
Noah Igbenogene.
Noah
That's
Igbenogany.
weird to
Yeah.
say.
Igbenogene.
Yeah.
We all need to work on the enunciations, I think, the
I'm working
on
pronunciations
mine
of
Yeah.
these
now.
names.
Yeah.
We have to learn the names, then B, we have to learn
Yeah.
how to pronounce them.
Exactly. We got a new long snapper too, Tyler Ott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally, we don't have to talk about Cameron Cheeseman anymore.
Oh,
Can you-
jeez, right?
Like I've never talked about a long snapper more. Are you kidding
And
me?
yeah,
I know, right?
let that be the last time we ever
Yeah.
even mention Tyler
Yup,
Ott's
Tyler
name,
Ott,
right?
he's gonna be. We're done.
And Tress Way gave up his number to
Yeah, he sure
Jaden
did. He
Daniels.
did. That's a class move.
It
I
was a
think. It
sweet,
was a
sweet
class
story.
move.
Who
Okay,
cares about the punter's number?
I'm
anyway?
good, man. I'm good.
we got
We're
a
good. Let's get
game.
out of here.
We got a
We
game
We
to
do have a
talk
game.
about. First
Season
game
starts soon.
of the season against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and guess what? We're bringing back. We're bringing back the 4
Sexy.
commandments.
The 4 commandments.
4
Yeah.
commandments. So, if you haven't seen this before, we will each give a commandment of what we need to do to win the next game. And I think we're gonna do, at least, I don't know, maybe just tonight, we're going to talk about a player that we want to see do.
It was one thing I wanted to ask everybody is like, who are you looking to be a standout besides Jaden Daniels? Okay, we're all looking for Jaden Daniels to have a big game, but who's the new player? Like, don't say Terry, don't say Brian Robinson. Who's the new player you're looking to have a standout game? Make that part of your four.
So the 4 commandments and the 4 disciples.
Okay.
Oh, good job. I like that.
All right.
Rich takes that right off the top of his head. Look at that
I think
guy.
I know mine.
All right, let's hear it, Eddie.
Well, as far as my commandment, I think it's pretty obvious that I want to protect Jaden Daniels.
Nice.
That's good. That's really good.
The Lord has to be on his side, protect him, and keep him throwing touchdown passes. As far as the game and the player that I think I want to see a standout from is because I'm worried about, like, I don't know why they got him, but I guess it's the running back, Eckler, or whatever.
Oh, yeah. No, I want to see. I want to see him do some stuff
I have
too.
a feeling that, like, he's been cast as this guy that's sort of in his last, 3 to 5 years left in his career, and that didn't really do that much to excite people. And I think in our crew and in our setup offense, I think he's going to stand out, and I want to see him stand out because I think he has something to prove.
Yeah.
That's
great, Eddie. And to talk a little bit about your commandment, I think Tampa Bay is not going to be our biggest test on the O-line.
It's true.
Last year they had a pretty decent defense, but they lost a lot of pieces. And their pass rush is a little lackluster. And again, this is the first game of the season, so I'm just going based off of the scuttlebutt, the grapevine, what I've heard.
Right.
And what I've heard is they're not one of the top 10 defensive fronts. So we might get a little bit of a break, but it's going to be a good test. Get the nerves out. So Eddie, I think we need to be protecting Jaden Daniels in this first game because next week we're going to be facing a revamped Giants D line that has Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns.
Yeah.
I might be mixing that up, but they got a new pass rusher. At Tico, am I wrong about Brian? Is it Brian Burns? Who is it?
Thibodeau. When you mentioned Thibodeau, he killed us last year. I mean, all day he just torched us.
Yeah,
single-handedly, he killed us.
Let me just real quick check and make sure I'm talking about Brian Burns. Brian Burns. He was traded to the Giants from Carolina, and he was like a premier pass rusher. So those two guys are going to test our new O-line next week. So Eddie, great point. Let's protect Jaden Daniels this week. Awesome.
And we still got
early injuries.
The Bucs still have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, who have just been consistently
amazing,
stellar. For a long time. The team is changed a lot since Brady left.
Yeah,
but people been dogging Baker Mayfield, but we gotta. He's a good quarterback to me. I like him.
Well,
and we're gonna have to stop him.
I was gonna say that leads me to my commandment because
perfect.
I and my son may disagree with me on some of this. Maybe you all will, but I feel like the offense is going to put up some points. I just don't know if this defense, and we have some strong players on this defense. Wagner, Luvu, we talked about some of them. Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne. Are they gelled yet? I haven't seen it in the preseason that this defense has gelled, and I want to see them playing as a team. I want to see them make some stops so that because we'll put up some points, we won't put up a ton of points. We need to have a strong defense, and I really want that defense to come together and be strong. Now the player I'm looking for also might be a surprise on the offensive side. We talked about him earlier, Luke McCaffrey. I want to see that guy. I want to see him have his day, and maybe it's not this week, but I think there's some doubt about him, but I think he brings some excitement, and maybe he's a little bit of a secret weapon that people are taking too lightly. And I want to see him. I want to see him have a breakout, if not this week, some week. So
he was my next guy.
That's what I'm looking at. Well, yeah. Okay. There you go.
That's why I did mine first. I left it for you.
Okay.
I want to see Terry have a great season.
Yeah.
Like 1,500 yards.
for
Oh,
sure.
God, I would
It's
love
an
that.
opportunity too this season. Yeah.
Big
look at that, yeah.
17.
Look at that.
Yeah.
He's my
Both got
favorite
it going.
player of all time. So there you go. I guess I can go next, Tico.
All right.
You
Go
go with
for it.
that?
Because he's frozen again.
You froze.
Oh, okay. I thought
No,
you were.
froze.
I thought you were. I wasn't
I
sure.
thought you.
Okay,
froze.
so I'm gonna go with my player first.
Okay.
And there's so
He's
many
back.
good options. There's so many.
I know, right?
Like there's so many. I think for this season, I want to see Mike Sanders still. Like I'm really excited about him. I've talked
Yeah.
about him already, so I'm not gonna go into it. But in this game, talking about Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans, I really want to see these corners. And I don't even I'm not even necessarily looking for them to have a good game because, like Tico said, these are dogs that they got over there. These are dogs. And Baker, don't count out Baker. Baker had a great season last year, but he can get got. He's not a world beater, but he is solid as hell. I want to see these cornerbacks make a couple plays. And I'm not saying I want them to go toe to toe. I'm not saying they're going to lock these receivers down, but I want to see, if Chris Evans, oh God, I keep doing that. Mike
Godwin
Evans,
and Mike Evans.
Sorry. Mike Evans gets a long bomb. I want to see BSJ get a PBU. If Chris Godwin makes a move on Emmanuel Forbes for a touchdown, I want to see Emmanuel Forbes, catch an interception. You know what I mean? I want to see some competition from those guys. I'm not asking for world beating. I'm asking for competition.
I'm sorry. Can you define PBU for me?
Yeah, pass breakup.
Oh, pass breakup. Gotcha. Okay.
As for my commandment, and I guess I picked two disciples there, but so my bad. I'm breaking my own rules. For a commandment, I want to see Brian Robinson, and I know you picked Austin Eckler. I want to see some. So I'm going to go with. I want to see this running game get going. I am really excited. Last year we just did not have a run game, and I know Cliff Kingsbury is going to emphasize that this season. And Brian Robinson, I think, is hitting his third year junior jump. We'll call it junior jump. Damn, I like that. I'm going to see a Brian Robinson junior jump. And he is gonna I think this offense is gonna run the fucking ball, especially with Jaden Daniels with the RPO threat that my dad was talking about earlier. I want to see this run game get going. So that's my run. Thou shall run something and often. Why am I blanking?
Early and often.
Early and often. Yeah. Thou shall run early and often.
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can open up the passing game.
Yep. All right, Tico.
Yeah.
Bring us home.
Thou shalt push Terry towards his 1,500-yard season.
Okay.
Very nice.
All right.
Do you got a spotlight player?
Terry.
I said
it
has to
Terry.
be one of the new guys. It can't be Terry. You're breaking the rules.
It's going to be newer, better.
Bradley broke the rule too, so whatever.
Okay, I'm okay with Terry.
All right, you're freaking rule breakers, but whatever.
Yeah. But so we talked about
We're here to have fun, not follow rules.
I want to see how much Bobby Wagner still has in the tank.
Yeah,
Love
like that.
Love it. We talked about Baker. We talked about the receivers. The Bucs defense is the back end is better than the front seven. So it'll be a nice test for Jaden.
Over the middle.
Otherwise, the Bucs, they're a good team. They were a good team last year. They were a good team the year before. They've had a strong, mesh for the last couple of years. Even since Tom Brady left. I know they hit a little bit of slump, but they came back with Baker. So this is not an easy first game.
And they're at home.
And they're at home. I think it's going to be a nice test. Does anybody have any predictions?
Let's give our picks.
It's going to be warm. What do we think? Let's go, Tico.
It's be hot and humid.
Win or loss? What are you thinking?
God, I'd like to see them What would I like, or what do I
No,
think is
what
going to
you-
happen?
We're
what
gonna
you pick.
we're gonna tally it
We're
up.
keeping track here.
We're doing a
so-
competition this season, and we're gonna pick the games before they happen. And at the end of the season, we'll talk about how many people got right.
I'm going Jaden Daniels.
All
First
right.
win, first start.
There you go.
W.
For me,
Sure.
I'm going with the W.
Okay. Eddie.
Yeah, I'm going with a W2, 21-17 and a nail biter.
Oh, and a score. I was gonna put a score prediction.
Okay.
I was gonna say 21-17,
Wow. Look at you guys.
but I think we're gonna lose.
Ooh.
So we
All
both
right.
have
The
the
lone
same-
descendant.
I think I'm switching it up from last year, because last year I picked us in like 11 games or something stupid. So I'm being tentative this season.
So you don't have
Okay.
any faith in
Won't you
York?
feel
Is that what you're
foolish if we
saying?
win
Yep.
this game?
No faith
It's
in
good-
our kicker, York? Is that what it is?
It is gonna be a fun season, you guys. And
Yeah,
thank
for
you
sure.
to the fans who watch this, which is not many of you, but thank you nonetheless.
All of
And-
our scores of fans.
Yeah.
Right.
And put your fifth commandment
Commandment.
down in the comments. We want to hear from you. What do you
And your
think? What do we
player.
need to do? And your player and your 5th
Mhm.
disciple. Put
Mhm.
your player and your commandment down in the comments. We want to hear from you. Thank you so much for tuning in. That is a wrap on this episode of Command West. We hope you had just as much fun watching as we did, bringing you the latest and the greatest on the Burgundy and Gold. Please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and tune in next week. Good night.
See ya.
Night, everyone.
Good night.